So it's been a little over a year since I picked up this Bronica RF645 medium format camera. I got it back in November 2014 and was kind of looking through here. We're in the tail end of January 2016, so I've had it a little over a year, like I said, and was kind of looking back over my photos. It looks like I have 240 shots taken on it. Just wanted to go through my thoughts on the camera and actually show you guys some samples here and kind of talk to these. These are I feel like the best photos I've taken. Not necessarily the best as far as like image quality or technical ability or anything like that. I'm not a professional, obviously. This is just my hobby. But I wanted to kind of revisit these photos, and I went through all of them and obviously picked out the ones that at least stood out to me as being relevant. So I kind of want to go through these right now, talk about them. So this first image was, I think, the second shot I ever took with the camera. Anyway, this is 65 millimeter, which is about normal, field of view. I think it would be about 45 millimeter on a crop camera, or sorry, on a full frame, 35 millimeter, equivalent. I think I've read 43 millimeters is technically exactly what the human eye is. A lot of people say 50 is, but it's not actually true if you do a little research. But again, this image, just kind of the colors of the Velvia and whatnot, just stuck out at me, and I just thought it was kind of neat. This next image is just, first roll, sort of experimenting. I take a lot of photos of my kids. I have some twins, 4-year-old twins right now, and was just taking some shots of them. This, again, the depth of field I thought was interesting. The bokeh isn't necessarily amazing. It's a little bit, I guess some people call it distracting. I still like it, but for the wider, the normal field of view here, it looks, the background's pretty out of focus. This is basically sort of the same shot of my son as compared to the last shot. They're actually sitting next to each other on these little chairs we have. Again, just experimenting, but I liked it. The colors I really liked of the Velvia 100F. So, again, this was nothing too special. It's just some, fall colors in our backyard. This was, I guess, back in November 2014. A nice color. Velvia does really good color for landscapes and whatnot, like, greens and oranges and reds. This was just kind of interesting. I mean, it's not dynamic range so much, but I was just trying to experiment with the film, what kind of dynamic range it could handle. I know film generally, at least from what I could tell, at least with my scans I get from the darkroom, doesn't have amazing dynamic range. This was from that kind of same set. I think I took most of these shots, took most of the roll in one day. I just thought it was kind of neat, my son playing with the kind of puddles and the leaves and stuff. Again, the depth of field is really, really nice on medium format, as you would expect. This is actually kind of funny. This was one of our first attempts at potty training them. It didn't actually go very well. We kind of gave up after a few months and then revisited it. And obviously they're potty trained now, but at the time they're 3 years oldish at the time I took this photo. We were having a little trouble, but I just kind of thought it was neat, again, with the colors. This next roll was Lomography. I bought three packs, the Lomography 100, 400, and 800. Honestly, just looking at this, I'm pretty certain it's 400. This is, shot outside, and here's another shot outside. Obviously it has a lot more grain compared to the Velvia you just saw. It's not as rich, which is what you expect when you're doing color negative, more accurate, whereas the Velvia is super punchy. Experimented with some shots inside the house with, again, I think this is the 400 probably, just because it's not as grainy as the 800. I was obviously using off-camera flash and a light meter to get the exposure right before I took it. Here's back outside. You can definitely see the grain in these photos. Here's another one with like the fence, and it's just experimenting. I'm certain this was the 400, Lomography 400, but it was neat. The colors, this is, I guess, maybe December. I guess it would have been December of 2014. Still fall leaves and whatnot. Just kind of moving away through these. Nothing special about the shots as far as technical ability. It's just family memories of my kids. Here's a kind of cute one of my daughter, like looking, I think she was looking for one of their balls or something that they threw across the yard, and it got stuck in one of our lavender bushes. I think this is a new roll now. The color looks a little bit different. It's definitely either 4 or 800. This might actually be the end of that last roll. So I think this is the end of the 400 roll. And the reason I say that is this next shot, photo of the two of my kids in the house, kind of with light coming in from the door. This was definitely I think the 800, because it's super grainy. I really like this shot. I actually have this one framed. Before I had it printed, I pulled down the shadows a bit, because honestly, I've noticed a lot of time with these scans, they're probably to try to extract anything, they're really pulling up the shadows, which, one, you can see the grain looks pretty brutal, but also it's not really accurate to what it looked like when I took the photo. You know, the background behind my son's head really was very dark. It wasn't like kind of greenish like that. But I like this shot a lot. This next shot, I don't know why I haven't framed it. I have it printed. I think I did a 8x10 print of this. I have it on a shelf, with some other 8x10s I printed. But I need to frame this one. I really like this of my daughter. It's super cute. I had her sitting on a chair for the window light from the back door. This one was cute. Got her to pose. You could tell here the shadows are like overly boosted. And again, I don't think the exposure was wrong. You know, it has sort of like a spot focus, maybe slightly. I guess it's sort of center weighted, but it's pretty tight, the meter on the Bronica. But the exposure was on. I just took them straight. These are the direct scans. I just threw them into this video. So you bring down the shadows, and it kind of looks accurate and hides a lot of that noise. Here's another one, another cute pose. This one's really grainy and kind of messed up. Nothing special. It's my dog who actually we had to put him down late last year, so this photo's special to me. This is definitely a Nevin roll. This is, I think, the Lomography 100. Way less grain. It's actually a pretty decent film. I'm gonna shoot some Ektar pretty soon. I've shot it on 35mm, but on 120, and I want to compare it to the Lomography 100. But just some shots in the yard again of my kids playing, which is often what I do. This was a cute one of them. They wrote their names on the fence, and they're playing with it. They love playing with chalk. This is a really cute photo. I love this one. I really like the shot. It's kind of neat how my son's looking through the fence. This is a totally different day. This is actually visiting my mother-in-law, and grabbed some portraits of my son. This one's cute with him in the yard, with the green behind him. This is definitely, so I think the last few shots have been Lomography 100. I specifically remember this shot was Lomography 100. I really liked the way it came out. Her facial expression is really funny. She was trying to water plants. And then there's this cat, and they're really kind of inquisitive about it and curious. There's more shots of the cat, and then my daughter kind of getting all frustrated. She was trying to put the screen away, but it was broken. And then this is interesting. I was just kind of messing around. This was still early with my camera. You may not be able to tell. My dog's kind of sitting out there, and again, he's not with us anymore. But what I took this photo was I thought the coloring of the light reflecting off the hardwood floor was interesting. And I don't know, maybe you guys think so too. This is either the 400 or probably even maybe the 800 Lomography. Super grainy. Again, you could pull down the shadows, and then it looks a little bit more accurate. Exposure in general. I'm pretty sure these shots were with the 800 as well. This tree, the fall colors were really interesting. And then this was actually a neat little set of my kids and this train track that, again, it was trying to find a good spot I had some locations scattered out for taking this Christmas card photo of my family, with the tripod and everything. I printed some of these and sent them off to family, and I actually have one of them. This one's funny with the puddle. This next one here, I actually printed this and as an 8x10 and have it on the wall in our living room. This was cool. I took some shots of them outside, and it was kind of neat. We used to have this play structure for them that they outgrew, but it had this, whatever, monocular thing. And this one is the one I actually really liked, where they look like they're like looking out in the distance, like they saw something with a monocular. This is one of my favorite shots, actually, I've taken with the Bronica. It was a pretty neat shot. Here's more. Here's one of just the sky colors. Nothing too particular, experimenting the depth of field. This is another time. This is obviously the Lomography 800 film. You can see this. It's super grainy. If you pull down the shadows, like when you're editing this shot, it makes it look more like what I remember. It wasn't this bright in the room. It's something to do with when they scan these in the dark room. This one, you can see a ton of grain here, but again, if I pulled down the shadows, you'd see kind of what it looks like. Strange enough, this shot, it almost doesn't need too much pulled down with the shadows because it looks relatively what I remember. I would still do it because you can see all the noise at the bottom of the image, but this was a really cute one. This is my daughter holding a picture of my wife when she was a child, about the same age. They look very similar, obviously. My son just kind of lounging around his grandmother's house, and then my daughter as well. They're watching TV or something. I think this was 800 because it's super grainy, and I remember these shots, and I'm being kind of frustrated that I had the wrong speed film when I went out to take photos. Here's another one. I almost want to show you an example of it like this, and then with the shadows pulled down, but you can see it's like tons of noise with the way they scan it. Okay, now we're jumping over to Lomography 100, which is obviously what you'd want for bright outdoor light. Took my kids to the park one time, was just shooting up the roll to finish it off. I think this might have been one of the last rolls of Lomography 100 I had. You can see that, it's pretty fine grain, if any grain at all. Looks really nice. Colors are pretty punchy. It's natural, but it's interesting looking. It honestly reminds me a lot of Kodak film. I'm not sure what they are using or what they're doing. Their 100 is good. And here's a cool photo. This is I was able to time it with both of my kids on the slide at the same time, so it's cool. Here's a couple portraits of my son I really liked. Again, the depth of field. You got to think about this for the big field of view you have here. This was 65 millimeter, which again is about a 45 on 35 millimeter equivalent. It's a pretty big field of view, yet the background's pretty out of focus. And remember, this is only an f4 lens. Here's another one of my son. This was kind of cute. Wish that water bottle wasn't there. This photo I'm pissed because he moved forward at the last second, and obviously the focal plane was, you can see the trees pretty sharp. His head was back against it, and it maybe would have been slightly off from his face, and then he shoved his face forward right as I took the shot. And then my daughter here, I think I just may have blown it. It's definitely focused behind her head on the tree, not her face, but this is a different time. This is now like a fall, rainy season. We're obviously kind of not really going in order, I guess. This isn't necessarily chronological order. I think this is possibly Portra 400. If not, it's one of the rolls Lomography 100. But I was just getting some shots of them outside. I like the coloring. It's nice. Some shots inside with a flash, obviously. You can't shoot an f4 lens inside unless you have like insanely bright lights. Back outside, just some shots. Here's my dog. I mentioned he's not with us anymore. More of the kids. Kind of neat. I like the colors on this one in our side yard, the tree and the lighting just looked really nice, and thankfully it came out well in the photo. Nothing in particular in the image. I just like the light and the red leaves of I think it's like a plum tree, and the golden fence in the background and the green. It's just kind of neat. Here's my son in bright colors. I kind of want to say this is Portra, but maybe not. Back to my dog. Sad to see him. This is when he was getting really ill towards the end. Here's my kids. Just again, not going to spend too long on these shots, but okay, so this next set, this was actually at my nephew's birthday. I think this may have been the tail end of a Lomography roll. I'm pretty certain, actually. I switch over to Portra 400 at this party. Yep, okay, so here's the first shot now of Portra 400. Really like the film. You know, just some shots. This is a neat one of my nephew. Really shows the whole medium format, depth of field, and kind of unique look, where you have this really sharp person or subject, and then the background throws out of focus without it being a super tight crop like a portrait lens would be on a 35mm camera. Here's another one. I really like these colors. You know, just my nephews and my kids, but birthday party. It was cute. Here's my nephew with his mom, and my wife and my nephew. And here's a bunch of kind of cousins photo here. And then here is my brother's dog, who is actually also not with us anymore. She was very sick and ended up being put down as well. A little bit, honestly, it was literally just a few months after my dog. Okay, and now we're at something I shot very recently. This was Lomography Purple. I just shot this over the summer, so the summer of 2015. I guess more recently, we're already in 2016 now, but these colors just kind of blew my mind. Here's an interesting one of my daughter. Obviously, these are false colors, so she doesn't actually have a yellow dress thing like that. It's actually pink in real life, so you could tell it's kind of neat. This is just a shot of my family kind of asleep on the couch. Back outside. This is interesting. I tried to kind of throw the metering, and I metered for the sky, and then with the camera's meter, and then somewhat in the shadows, and sort of went somewhere in the middle. Generally, with color negative, will result in probably a decent even exposure. With the Lomography Purple, I did that, and the shadows are still basically gone. So interesting coloring, though. There's some more shots. I really like this film. You know, it's not for everybody. The false color's interesting. For me, you know, I loved seeing these old photos of Kodak Aerochrome, that like aerial photography for like finding spies and something for vegetation or something from what I read. This looks like it, sort of. It's not the same thing. This is similar to it, and it's a lot cheaper. It's like, you know, you're paying like 13 or 12 bucks a roll. All right, now we're not on Lomography Purple anymore, as you can tell. I think this is Portra 400. Yeah, this is definitely Portra 400. Just some shots in the backyard, you know, my kids. More of the colors, or at least I'm pretty sure it's Portra 400. Don't hold me to that. Okay, and here's something interesting. Here was the Fuji Pro 400H I shot, which is now making me think I'm liking this more than Portra 400. I took some shots of my daughter right before Christmas, and really love the colors. The greens and the reds are pretty epic. It's like it's accurate but punchy. Here's some shots of my son, you know, again, Christmas colors. And this was the last roll I shot. This was actually the last Lomography I had. This was a Lomography 400 roll. And this is like pretty grainy stuff, but again, it's part of it is the scan. It would look a little bit less grainy if I pulled the shadows down a bit. So you know, here's some shots of my kids again outside, and colors on this were actually decent. This shot is like the scan is way off. I actually posted this on Instagram, and you know, I just pulled, I swear I pulled, and I didn't do any like fancy editing. I literally used the Instagram adjusters, and I literally took the shadow slider and put it completely, I think, to the bottom. And then I even added contrast, because it was just like, this is not what it looked like. Obviously, it's so, like, I don't know, the shadows don't even exist. They're like green. And I don't think, honestly, the Bronica's exposure was screwed up. I think it's just the way they're scanning it. But it was a cute shot. Here's some shots trying to get some bokeh with the lights in the background. These all of them, you know, I pulled the shadows way down before I posted them online. But you get the gist of it here. This is a cool shot. I like this. I think they screwed up. Yeah, you can tell they screwed up this scan. There's like a black bar on the left side, which actually looks kind of green because, again, and I think this is evidence of it, that the way they're scanning it for the shadows, they're not making the shadows truly black or dark, like, because there's not even an image there. That was their scanner screw up. They didn't have the negative aligned properly, and it's still green over there. So this is a cool shot, though. I was trying to get my son in that window opening of their playhouse as he walked by, and I kind of encouraged him to go back over there, and as he walked by, I snapped it. There's just kind of I don't know, I was thinking of that photo showed at the beginning of this where he was like messing around with the barbecue here, and he was trying to sweep the water puddles off the barbecue instead of playing with leaves like in the last shot at the beginning of this video. And this last one's, just again my daughter on her little scooter thing she got for Christmas. But anyway, I probably lost a lot of people going through this, but I just wanted to kind of speak to these shots